synchronicities that show up in life. You know, something that's like synchronistic, it gets my attention. Because when we start paying attention, we move into the state of awareness. And always that's the first step to coming into this place where we know there is a power greater than we are, and we wake up. This is when we wake up. We wake up by becoming aware. So let's wake up. Let's not sleepwalk through life any longer. Let's just wake up. And there's an important concept here. Follow that voice to the edge of the light you see. And the psalmist sings to God, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light on my path." When you carry a lantern at night, the path ahead is illuminated only a step or two at a time. Go to the edge of that light that you see, and you can take another step and a baby step further, and the light will continue to go with you. You know, some of us want guidance, but we demand to know all the details before we even take any kind of leap. We're not taking a leap. We want to know everything about it. So instead of a lantern, we want a floodlight. We want everything lit up. And that's just not the way that this human experience operates. It's one step at a time, but with the faith to step, and the light will follow, the light will guide. We could become paralyzed by stepping into this thing that we call the unknown, by stepping out of what we're familiar with. And this is where our greatest good lies. Remember, there's no such thing as the unknown in the mind of God. There's no such thing. And that we say God is everywhere all the time. What do you think? God is everywhere except for right here where I am? No, God is here too. God is in all places all the time. So our greatest good could be out there in the place that we're not familiar with. So take that lantern and just follow the light. Take it slowly. You don't have to jump. Ernest Holmes says in his book, again, we should constantly vitalize our faith by the knowledge that the eternal is incarnated in us, that God goes forth anew into creation through each one of us, and that in such degree as we speak the truth, the Almighty has spoken. God speaks through us. So what does answering the call look like in your life? I can't answer that. Only you can. Only you can answer that, what it looks like for you. Answering the call for me looks like maybe I stepped out. Maybe I, after many years of taking baby steps in my ministry, of many years of being guided to be right here in this place, standing right where I am, and I expect it to continue. I know that I'm being guided in every moment. Things keep showing up, and I pay attention. So last year was probably the most dramatic of my steps. That was probably the leap. You know, that was my year of a leap, and I can't believe Lee's not here when I'm going to talk about her. She's always here. But you might not be aware that it was exactly 1 year ago, the beginning of March, when a certain angel or messenger named Lee approached me and said, I had a dream last night. How many of you know Lee? Raise your hand. Okay, well then you want, I had a dream last night. That's more like Lee. She's not here, so we can. So she has this dream that, if you don't know Lee Lascala, she lives in this little church in West Berlin, New Jersey. And she had this dream, and she saw me talking in front of people with a microphone, and all these people were just sitting around. I said, okay. She says, what do you think about that? I thought, well, let me think about it. I don't know, you know, sounds good. All right, let me think about it. And what Lee didn't know was that I had been asking for God's guidance, for signs. I always ask for signs. Give me some, I want to see real signs, manifestation signs. I want to see it like a microphone. I want to see form. Sometimes things, you know, the really the greatest things are those that you can't see. But this time I had been praying. I had been doing a lot of teaching, a lot of weddings and ceremonies, talking at different spiritual centers. You know, just really been very busy, but something within me was calling for something more, and I had no idea what it was. So if you don't know what's calling you, that's okay. It's following all those baby steps that I started over 20 years ago, just following them all up to that place where, okay, God was most certainly giving me a sign with Lee here. So I called her later on that evening, and I said, maybe I'll do just like Friday nights, once a month, you know, and then we'll call it a joyful gathering, because it's, you know, it's a gathering of joyful beings. So that's how the name came about. A lot of really heavy visioning went into that. I think it was just driving over to her place to, you know, take a look at it, and it was like Joyful Gathering, and there you go. There's the name. So that was divinely guided also. And that was the first step, you see. That was stepping out. I had my lantern, and I was carrying my lantern, and I was stepping out. I wasn't starting a spiritual center. I was just doing a once-a-month Friday night thing. You know, I called Lou Doty, my friend. I said, Lou, because 5 years prior to that, he had asked me to do something with him on a Friday night once a month. I said, do you want to play some music? Because I knew he had a sound system. And he's a great musician and a good friend. Lou's not here either, so. So he did. And so we did that once a month. And it just culminated into all of these different steps and signs of this, and this is becoming even more. This is still unfolding. But the baby steps first, always the baby steps. Was it easy to do this? Yeah, it was easy. Everything fell into place very nicely. Each step was, okay, God, I would say, give me a sign, and then church pews showed up. You know, give me a sign, and Vince asked me to do something. You know, it just, so yes, it was easy. Was it challenging? You bet you. You bet it was. Probably one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make in my life was to leave my comfort zone and step out and trust that God had my back, that God was guiding me into something that I was supposed to do. So I just keep following. I just keep following this guidance. This is the calling that we're talking about. This is just one of it. And each one of us have a calling, unique unto us. Unique unto us. Each one of us. Bob's calling is to be the videographer and photographer. He had no idea. He didn't even know he was getting a calling. But you see, obviously he did, because he's here every week doing it. And it's ongoing. So listen to the heart. Always the heart never lies. The heart always tells the truth. If it feels good in here and you're being pulled into something, just check it out. Take a look. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of. And to conclude this, I have a Science of Mind again, reading by Ernest Holmes, where he says, let us feel that our purposes are animated and inspired from on high. And then let us go forth and make our dream come true in human experience. With an invisible intelligence to guide and an immutable law to direct, let us take our place in any legitimate activity and thus cause our dreams to come to full fruition. Today, we answer the call. Let us commit to listening to that invisible intelligence that is always ready to guide us, always there to prompt us on, to surround us and